We're glad you joined us once again in the mind training of this Course in Miracles. We're purposely intent now in the series of lessons that we're doing in the necessity for the transformation of your mind, that you begin to recognize the idea of the totality of the responsibility that you have for this world. And in fact, in association with God for all of creation. This is a training of your conceptual mind to a new vision of who you are in the entirety of the containment of your conceptual self. Shall we look at that together just for a moment? Okay. The lesson for today is going to say that the peace of God is shining in me right now. Perhaps you haven't seen any of the other videos that we've done in regard to this mind training. A systematic way where you have discovered within your own conceptual idea of yourself through the releases of the identity that you held and protected that was valued by the world in the sequential time idea of the destruction of the nature of your conceptual mind, have allowed you to see that the blessings that you bestow upon the world stem from an innate certainty contained within you. First, of the necessity for you to bless the world, as we saw in Lesson 187. The necessity for you to bless the world through the realization of the new bright light that you're finding within the identity that previously bound you to that dark form. So this lesson is going to say, if I choose at this moment, I can return to heaven where my source is. It's going to say that time is an invention of my mind where I have held myself in the idea that I could find the solution to the problem of separation that this world experiences within the problem itself, rather than making a fundamental admission that all of the concepts of exchange contained within the sequences of past and future relationships have denied me access to the entirety of the realization of self-awareness, self-certainty that's contained within my own mind. Let's go back just for a moment and look at the idea that as you discover blessings within yourself, you will give them to the previous projections that you put in the idea about yourself out of your mind in order not to face the consequences of the guilt that you experienced within your own self-identity. Listen. So let's laugh together here. Illusions recognized must disappear. Accept not suffering, and you remove the thought of suffering. Your blessing lies on everyone who suffers when you choose to see all suffering as what it is. The thought of sacrifice gives rise to all the forms that suffering appears to take. And sacrifice is an idea so mad that sanity dismisses it at once. Never believe that you can sacrifice. There is no place for sacrifice in what has any value. Listen, if the thought occurs, its very presence proves that error has arisen and correction must be made. Your blessing will correct it. Given first to you, it now is yours to give as well. And no form of sacrifice and suffering can long endure before the face of one who has forgiven and has blessed himself. The lilies that your brother offers you are laid upon your altar, with the ones you offer him beside them. Who could fear to look upon such lovely holiness? The great illusion of the fear of God diminishes to nothingness before the purity that you will look on here. Be not afraid to look. The blessedness you will behold will take away all thought of form and leave instead the perfect gift forever there, forever to increase, forever yours, forever given away. Now are we one in thought, for fear has gone. And here before the altar to one God, one Father, one Creator, and one thought, we stand together as one Son of God, not separate from him who is our source, nor distant from one brother who is part of our one self, whose innocence has joined us all as one. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. The name of God is on our lips, and as we look within, we see the purity of heaven shine in our reflection of our Father's love. Now we are blessed, and now we bless the world. What we have looked upon, we would extend, for we would see it everywhere. We would behold it shining with the grace of God in everyone. We would not have it be withheld from anything that we look upon. And to ensure this holy sight is ours, we offer it to everything and everyone that we see. For where we see it, it will be returned to us in form of lilies we can lay upon our altar, making it a home for innocence itself, who dwells in us and offers us his holiness as ours. Shall we practice together just for a moment the idea that you have nothing to lose? You want to try that with me? This is how many of us finally took the step. Everyone must come to a point somewhere within their own conceptual mind where they begin to recognize that the value they have given to themselves in the substance of this world, in the occupation of self-identity, is still going to result in pain and death and loss. Can you see this with me? Your futile attempts to hold on to this little form of self-containment are starting to fail, aren't they? We want to increase the evidence of your failure in this, because you will fail, so that you can recognize the entirety of loss that is inevitable within your own conceptual mind. You call this death. And we call it the recognition of the light that's in you. Okay. We've spoken of this before, about the Apostle Paul, who says, each time you come into this sequential association with yourself, understand and recognize this is the only day that you will have. All of the events that are going to happen in all of space-time are going to happen today to you. In that 6 hours, that 12 hours, that 12 minutes, that's 6 minutes, that's 6 seconds, in which suddenly you recognize that the light that you have been searching for, the peace of the occupation of your own self that you've been looking for, isn't out there, but in you. That is what you have been fearful of looking at. Can you see this with me? This is the time and place where you have decided to maximize the dissatisfaction that you feel about your own conceptual body in your inability, first, to know who you are, second, to know why you're here, when you're going to be able to proceed to another factor of realization, and who, in fact, you are within the containment of time. No. This recognition of the true self of you is coming about through the training of your mind to a new procedure of recognition. And it's going to indicate, as it does in this lesson, that the peace of God is shining in you now, at this time and in this place. And that this moment of realization will be a recognition of who and how you identify yourself in its entirety, before time was and after it's over, as it collapses into the here and now.